I want to talk about a firing that I'm very happy about. Um, Mike McCarthy fired as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. I've been waiting for this moment for a long, long time. McCarthy has been coach for 13 years. Now, Mike McCarthy, in my opinion, was an overrated coach. Yes, he took us to the playoffs a lot, but I really, really feel history will show that it was more Aaron Rodgers than Mike McCarthy. And the reason why I say is because when Aaron Rodgers went down last year in the 2017 season, the Packers were abysmal. They were abysmal. They were one of the worst teams in the league. Aaron Rodgers has had to carry this Packers franchise for far too long. Now, this McCarthy firing, I got into a debate with a lot of people, specifically my brother. Here's how I spread the blame. Mike McCarthy gets, I believe, how should I break this down? 40% of the blame of what happened in Green Bay. 10% is Aaron Rodgers. The other half, 50%, is Ted Thompson, the former GM. The problem with Green Bay, and I think this is a problem that I didn't realize until I was watching the Colin Herd yesterday, is that Green Bay doesn't really have a boss. The Packers don't have a boss. There's no Jerry Jones, Arthur Blank, Robert Kraft. It's just publicly owned. Yes, they have a CEO, Mark Murphy, but for the most part, Green Bay is just ran on autopilot. So there's no one to check the GM or the coach or even the quarterback if things go wrong. And I think that was the problem. One of the glaring problems I had was that we had Don Capers as a defensive coordinator for far too long. Don Capers was just known for prevent play not to lose defense, and that's cost us time and time again in the playoffs. Another glaring issue is that McCarthy didn't fire Capers until last year, where it was glaring that it was here. Hey, either get rid of Don Capers or your job is next. Ted Thompson was a horrible GM. He didn't draft right. Out of all the draft picks that we've had in the past 7 years, there's only two players that I know of that made an impact. Okay, there's Eddie Lacy. He's no longer in the league. Clinton Dix has moved on, and Nick Perry and Clay Matthews. So four. So 4 out of the 30 high draft picks that we had. And high draft picks, I'm talking from first to fourth round, that made an impact. So yes, McCarthy can say maybe he didn't have enough talent on the field to make things work. And that's Ted Thompson's fault. As a GM, there's plenty of cases we can look back to where Green Bay just doesn't go for stars. It doesn't make sense. You have Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks ever played a game. He's neck and neck with Tom Brady, and I truly believe that if there was enough talent in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers would have 3 Super Bowls by now. He truly would have 3 Super Bowls. But they just kept relying on Rodgers to bail him out. And at some point, that cup runs dry. Rodgers can only do so much. He can't play defense. So we got rid of Ted Thompson last year. Mike McCarthy, he knew this was a season that he had to perform. But again, costly losses against the Rams. Seattle, where we had a 4th and 2 on our 33-yard line, and we decided to punt the ball instead of go for it. And then the tie with Minnesota, I think the kicker was the Los Arizona Cardinals, who are one of the worst teams in the league right now. I just think it was time for McCarthy to go. I know the relationship between Aaron Rodgers and McCarthy was probably never good. Yes, we're going to hear stories, especially on Fox Sports 1, because they tend to have a major vendetta versus Aaron Rodgers. Try to say the guy was a prima donna. He rolled his eyes at Mike McCarthy. That may be true. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, the effect he has is very similar to LeBron James and the way he has on organizations. But you know what, Aaron Rodgers has time and time again carried the Green Bay Packers. At times when the Packers had no business being in a football game, no business being in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers has carried that team and made players. So in a way, sometimes it seems like Aaron Rodgers had to take the reins over because McCarthy was not going to do anything. Now McCarthy is going to leave with a win percentage. Career percentage is 125 wins, 76 losses, 2 ties. Win percentage of .621. So he's gonna get another job. I'm not worried about that. I just think fans are really gonna know that McCarthy maybe is not that good like people think. I liken it to say Mike Shanahan. When he was in Denver with the Broncos with John Elway, he won those 2 Super Bowls. When he went to the Redskins, it didn't pan out. There's just some coaches that, while they're good, they just have good situations, and it helps them win more games than they probably should have. I believe McCarthy's one of those people. I'm interested to see who the Packers pick up. Interested to see who the Packers pick up. These are some of the highs and lows of McCarthy's run. The Super Bowl 45 victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2011 Super Bowl. I mean, we had a great team. We had a great defense. Defense was top 5. That was when Don Capers was really proving his worth, and then it just went downhill, honestly, after that. But for that Super Bowl win, I mean, people think about, why does Aaron Rodgers only have 1 Super Bowl ring? You got to look at the history of the Packers with McCarthy. NFC Championship losses. Here we go. We're 1-3 in championship and NFC championships with McCarthy at the helm. Despite guiding the team to 8 consecutive playoff appearances from 2009 to 2016, his accomplishment is overshadowed by his inability to close the deal. Mike McCarthy is very conservative. And excuse my language, he's a pussy. He is a pussy when it comes to coaching the game of football sometimes. He's very conservative. He plays not to lose. He's very scary. He's very skittish. You compare that to Bill Belichick from New England, who goes for it. He's going to go for it. Bill Belichick is going to make calls. He's going to take risks. And that's why he's going to go down as probably one of the best coaches in NFL history. I think McCarthy got way too much love in the media because it's Green Bay. You know, Aaron Rodgers is lovable. Green Bay is a lovable historic franchise. It wasn't until I think last year where the media started to finally look at what's going on with Green Bay. Why do they not win? Can't they not win the big one? I'm going to talk about these NFC Championship losses because I remember this. 2007 versus the New York Giants. Packers were favored to win. We couldn't close the deal. 2015 versus Seattle Seahawks. I will never, excuse me, I'm under the weather. I will never forget Mike McCarthy for the way he coached the end of that game. I will fucking never forget Mike McCarthy for the way he coached that game. That game, Green Bay was up at the half. I thought that Green Bay was punching his ticket to the Super Bowl. It was a done deal. It was essentially a done fucking deal. But you know what happened in that game? We were up at the half. Pretty big. And then Seattle started coming back. Why? Because McCarthy plays not to lose. He took the foot off the pedal, and Seattle built on the momentum. And then what happened? Seattle took it down the field. Next thing you know, it's how you call it? I'm trying to remember because it was a while ago. Seattle got a touchdown. They did an onside kick. This asshole Brian Boschwick, instead of getting the ball and going down, he tries to make a play for it. Seattle gets the ball back. Seattle then drives it down. It's tied. Going into overtime. Green Bay looks deflated. You want to talk about when the Cleveland Cavaliers, when they lost that game versus Golden State, and because of J.R. Smith's timeout blunder, this was 5 times worse. It went into overtime, and then Seattle drove it down, won the game, and you had New England versus Seattle. Well, we could have had New England versus Green Bay, Brady versus Rodgers. And earlier that season, Green Bay did beat the Patriots. So it would have been an amazing rematch. I think after that game, McCarthy had lost the team. I think he lost the team with the way his play calling was. I don't think it's ever been the same. Now, 2016, they lost to the Falcons. It was a blowout. I'm not going to lie. The Falcons did their business. But 2015 is still painful. As a Packers fan, it's still painful because we were up 19-7 with 5 minutes left in the game. 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And Seattle came back and won that game. I'll never forget Mike McCarthy for his play calling there. For all the shit that Aaron Rodgers talks about, there's some things that McCarthy just does boneheaded stuff. And ever since then, Green Bay has just not recovered. And I think he lost the team, specifically Aaron Rodgers, in that moment. Yes, Green Bay definitely we were in the mix. We were in the playoffs a lot, which is surprising. So for one I know winning the Super Bowl is very hard. I'm not going to say that it's a given. But if you look at the past for the quality teams that Green Bay had, I mean, there's one year where we went 15-1. In 2011, totally losing the Giants in the divisional playoffs. You know, it's very sad because there's just been too many playoff games in which the defense just faltered because McCarthy was scared to get rid of Don Capers. And Don Capers, he was an older guy. I mean, obviously a coaching legend in his own right, but didn't make the necessary moves to make the Packers competitive on defense. And if we didn't have the right players, that was Ted Thompson. So as you can see, ever since 2011 with that Super Bowl win, the team has kind of been on autopilot. There hasn't really been any changes to the fray. Of course, when everyone's winning and going to the playoffs, everyone's happy. For Green Bay, they're happy they're making the play, but Green Bay is a better franchise than that. You got one of the Aaron Rodgers is a phenomenal quarterback. You should be fighting for Super Bowls. And you never got that feeling in Green Bay with McCarthy. You just never got that feeling. You could tell he just never learned from his mistakes. Let's talk about recently. We played the Seattle Seahawks. We lost. The score was 27-24. We had the ball at our 33-yard line with 4:20 left in the game. 4th and 2. We needed 2 yards to move the chains. 4:20 left. We're losing. 4:20 left. They instead opted to punt the ball. We never got the ball back. Seattle picked up the first downs. That was it. The game was over. And I remember a lot of friends were hitting me up that night, and they're saying, "What the hell? Like, why did your coach not go for it? You guys are losing. Why did you not go for it?" That's McCarthy ball. To me, McCarthy is the modern-day version of Marty Schottenheimer. You guys remember Marty Schottenheimer? Always had good teams that during the regular season, always had good teams. And then when it came down to the playoffs, good old Marty ball. Play not to lose, and he always did. I remember one year Marty Schottenheimer went 14-2 with the Chargers with LT, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Gates, a real contender. Didn't even make it out the divisional round. When you play this play to not to lose bullshit, you don't win. You just simply don't win. And that's Mike McCarthy. He's the modern day Marty Schottenheimer. I'm glad that he's gone from the team. We need new energy. We need a new high-powered offense. I think Aaron is going to have a major decision and obviously major influence in picking the next head coach because Green Bay just paid him a bunch of money. But I think it will be good for Aaron Rodgers. I think it will be good for the team to move on. You know, McCarthy was there for a long time, almost more than a decade. It's similar to Andy Reid when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, at some point, people got to move on. Just got to move on. Sometimes you just need a fresh voice, and I think Rodgers did not like McCarthy, and I think the rest of the team took suit, and it was time to move on. Good riddance to Mike McCarthy. Good fucking riddance. And I'm not just gonna talk. Let me touch on Ted Thompson, because I know everyone wants to talk about the head coach. But I'm gonna talk about Ted Thompson because he was a joke too. We never had a serious good backup. I know we had Matt Flynn, but he departed in 2012. We did a trade that sent Demarius Randall to the Browns for DeShone Kizer. Last year that didn't work out. Kizer didn't do anything really. We never really had a solid running back until Aaron Jones, I think, kind of came up. But Eddie Lacy was kind of our best player, but then that didn't work out with Lacy. I don't know what happened with him. He got let go. But when it came time to putting in the right pieces, Ted Thompson did not draft well either. When Jermichael Finley left, we tried with Richard Rodgers. It didn't work out. Martellus Bennett came. It didn't work out. We had something with Jared Cook. But Ted Thompson ignored Jared Cook and got Martellus Bennett instead. And that pissed off Aaron Rodgers because Jared Cook was actually a great target for Aaron Rodgers. We got rid of Jordy Nelson. That also pissed off Rodgers. You can see a habit here. You can see a trend here. And we keep botching these draft picks, and then we have to spend another draft picking at these people. How many defensive ends have we attempted to go after? Defensive linemen have we went after, and it has not worked out. In 2011, we let Cullen Jenkins out the door. He was pretty good. Dante Jones, we picked up in 2012. He was a bust. So, Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy, they rolled the coattails of Aaron Rodgers. They held the team back. I'm glad both of them are gone. I wish both of them would have left after that Seattle loss. Because to me, when you lose a game, a chance to get in the Super Bowl in that fashion, there is no coming back. Players don't forget it. And they don't take you seriously. You think I'm lying? Look at Seattle. The way things kind of self-destructed there. When Pete Carroll decided to throw the ball at the 1 yard line, instead of getting a Marshawn Lynch to just punch it in. Then the following years, you had the defensive players questioning Pete Carroll until they all pretty much had to leave. I think that 2015, it's a stain. I know he won a Super Bowl in 2011, but 2015, that's a stain on Mike McCarthy. So we'll see what happens going forward. I'm glad that Mike McCarthy. I know he's gonna land. That's why I don't feel too bad that he got fired. Cause I know he's gonna probably land maybe Cleveland or something like that. But the man had to go, and I'm looking forward to what Green Bay does next. That's my take.